Let's take a look at two mid-range smartphones that are available in the market today. We have the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G and also the Samsung Galaxy A34 here. And the reason why I'm comparing these two phones is because they have the exact same price tag of 1,599 ringgit here in Malaysia. The specs of these two phones are also, well, similar in a way, so I do think that they are worth comparing against each other. So let's begin. Let's start with the design. The Redmi Note has the exact same design as the Redmi Note 12 4G that we have reviewed a while back. You can watch it at the top right corner there. Just that now it is using a glass sandwich design, and I got it in the white color, and I think that it looks very clean even though it's not my cup of tea, especially since it has a glossy glass finish at the back. The Galaxy A34 uses a plastic body with a matte finish at the back, which I personally prefer more even if it's plastic. The camera bump though is a stark contrast between these two. The Redmi has a metal frame around it, while the A34 uses individual protruding circles just like the S23 series. However, both these phones include a macro camera, and I would just say that it's completely useless on both of these phones. Anyway, these two phones will produce a completely different color profile when you start to take pictures. It will ultimately depend on your personal preference on what you like. Personally speaking, I do think that the colors of the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G is a bit muted. Even during bright sunny days, everything looks a bit too dull. Then it rained a little and stopped. Then I took this picture of the tree and it again looks very dull. And I generally do think that the color vibrancy is just not there. I mean, just look at this comparison with the Galaxy A34. The HDR performance on the A34 is also looking a lot better, I would say. Night shots though, it's going to be difficult to judge. I do think that they both kinda look the same, I would say. They do look decent because some of the details are brought up artificially with sharpening, and it works in some cases but not always. The ultra-wide-angle camera though, I think that this is about the same as well. I'll say it outright here. Both of these phones do not have good ultra-wide-angle cameras, and the details are not even good. Even during broad daylight, and it becomes a smeary mess, and that is especially true if we compare night shots. Back to the main camera then, even though the pictures taken with the Galaxy A34 looks a lot better in terms of its colors and overall HDR, there are some advantages to the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G too, mainly because it is using a 200 megapixel sensor. When we use the Ultra HD mode in the camera app, we can select to take pictures either in 50 megapixels or 200 megapixels. It takes the picture nearly instantaneous, and while the colors and HDR still need some fine-tuning, we can crop in and zoom without losing much details. And of course, this isn't comparable to the highest end 200 megapixel camera sensor like the Galaxy S23 Ultra, but it is much better than the 48 megapixel sensor that we have on the A34. The videography part though is a bit interesting. Both of these phones can record up to either 1080p 60fps or 4K 30fps, and these two phones do have OIS for the main cameras, but for some reason, for video mode, it will only work if you are recording at 30fps. The specs of each display are as shown on the screen here, and we also did the color accuracy test on both of these phones. The Samsung Galaxy A34 has nearly 100% sRGB and DCI-P3 color gamut coverage, and yeah, the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G is only at about 99.48% of sRGB and 95.83% of DCI-P3. It doesn't run away much from the A34, but I guess it is still noticeable. And now comes the fun part, the performance. Both of these phones are using the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset, and while the performance while playing games like Genshin Impact at the lowest graphical settings at 60fps is about the same, honestly there's nothing much to fight about here. The storage and RAM speeds are as shown on the screen here. While there are some differences, I don't think it will matter if you are playing high-end games like, again, Genshin Impact, and it wouldn't affect it in a significant manner. Now, both of these phones are also using single-cell 5000 mAh batteries in them, and with our controlled battery life tests, it's surprising to see that the A34 can nearly last an hour longer than the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G. Remember, we are testing both of these phones at 100 nits of brightness and at 120Hz refresh rate using PCMark battery life tests. I expected the battery lives to be more or less the same since they are both using the same MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset, but this could mean that MIUI 14 is not as efficient as Samsung's One UI. As the charging speed though, we'll just have to start off by pointing out that the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G comes with a 120 watts charger inside the box. This might already win many people's hearts. The charging speed though, you can select two stages. By default, the boost charging option is turned off and it will take about 23 minutes to charge from 15% to completion while maintaining below 40 degrees Celsius across the entire charging cycle. If you want to charge the phone even faster, then you can head into the overly complicated settings menu and hunt for this option called boost charging speed. Once enabled, you can charge from 15% to completion in only about 20 minutes, but the phone will be always over 45 degrees Celsius. I think that this is just not worth it. The Redmi is also compatible with up to 25 watts of USB PD charging standards, and it will take slightly more than 40 minutes to charge from 15% to completion. Even though the Galaxy A34 supports 25 watts of USB PD, it will take about 80 minutes to completely charge from 15%. Granted, Samsung is maintaining a much lower overall temperature throughout the entire charging cycle, just that I think Samsung played it a bit too safe. You can push it further if you want to. Now, in terms of software, this is where I think it's there's only one clear winner. I think Samsung's One UI is consistently better than MIUI even at the latest version. One UI just feels so much better to use and offers actually useful features. Again, my favorites are going to be each panel, Samsung Pay, now known as Samsung Wallet, and also Moods and Routines, formerly known as Bixby Routines. There is also a myriad of features that are only available on the Galaxy Store, like Good Lock for even more customizations down to the system level. Also, Samsung has outright stated that the A34 is getting 4 generations of Android OS upgrades and 5 years of security patches, whereby Xiaomi has no such commitment for the Redmi series. However, Redmi phones do have their own specialty though, especially with that IR blaster at the top of the phone, and this is a thing that only Xiaomi phones have. It's just convenient to have and you control everything with just your phone. And since we're here, did you realize that the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G has an audio jack? The Galaxy A34 does not. So yeah, I still think audio jacks are convenient to have, so good job to Redmi for still maintaining that. Both these phones are also using USB 2.0 ports at the bottom, but Samsung does have IP67 dust and water resistance. And surprisingly, the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G does not support microSD card for expansion. The A34 at least still has a hybrid second slot. And that concludes our comparison with these two phones. They trade blows with each other and there is only one clear winner in certain aspects, so do head down in the comment section below to let us know which of these two phones will you choose, or if you have any better alternatives, do let us know as well. Remember, both of these phones have the exact same price tag of 1,599 ringgit here in Malaysia, but it ultimately kind of depends on what you prioritize in terms of your phone. Yeah, I would say, really no clear winner here. It's just that kind of depends on what you choose. If you want better camera, actually Redmi is better here, I would say, because of all the clarity and whatnot. But the colors of the camera is better on the A34. Kind of complicated to choose between these two phones.